Quarterback Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal move center stage tonight. The Heisman Trophy favorite greeted his father, Oliver, earlier. Stanford's opponent is high-flying Oregon, led by running back LaMichael James. These two teams are together, averaging better than 94 points a game. A Pac-12 championship hangs in the balance.
Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. You are looking live at a sold-out Stanford Stadium, the setting for the Pac-12 Game of the Year. Unbeaten Stanford against once-beaten Oregon. A conference championship and a BCS bid are on the line. The headline story of the hour: Boise State loses to TCU. Stanford, the experts say, with a win tonight, will jump ahead of Alabama. Oregon, though, hopes to derail the Cardinal. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. With my partner, Kirk Street, I'm Brett Musburger. Thanks for dropping by. Herbie, we talk about the Heisman Trophy favorite, Andrew Luck, but this Stanford attack is much more than number 12.
Yeah, you're right. And we've been watching Stanford with Andrew Luck for a long time, and it's easy nationally to get caught up in his allure and his hype. But I'll tell you what, Stanford is really about their running game, the power running game of Stephon Taylor and the committee of backs that they have. So if you're Oregon, you got to load up to try to stop Taylor and the physicality of Stanford. This is the power play. They will run this all night tonight with a backside guard will kick out and open up a big hole. What this does is it makes the defense really get locked in on defending the run. And that's where Andrew Luck can get you, because the safeties start to get their eyes locked into the backfield, and Kobe Fleener, who might be the top tight end in the country, can get behind coverage, and that's what Oregon faces. Kind of a cat and mouse game there between the safeties of Oregon, the linebackers of Oregon, crowding that line of scrimmage to stop that running game, try to get Andrew Luck into some obvious passing downs.
Now the Quack Attack. You were on the field, and LaMichael James, the heart and soul, you said he's ready to go.
Well, he's healthy, without a doubt. And in fact, I think he's been pointing to this game against Andrew Luck and the Stanford team all year long. But again, it's another team that LaMichael James gets a lot of the hype because of the preseason talk and the Heisman talk. But to me, Darren Thomas is this key. Coming off a game where he played pretty well against Washington. And if you're Stanford, you have to make a decision. Are we going to crowd the line of scrimmage and stop LaMichael James and Kenyon Barner the way last year Stanford did? Or if you do that, you leave yourself one-on-one on the perimeter. And this is where Darren Thomas has got to step up. He threw a big touchdown pass last year to Jeff Mail, isolated one-on-one coverage. The new man this year is Dak, Anthony Thomas, the true freshman who's a running back, who's playing receiver. They're going to look to try to get him isolated against his Stanford secondary, and if they do, Darren Thomas is going to look him up if he's isolated for some big plays in a pass game.
I don't want to jinx his partner, but for 3 straight weeks, we've gone to the last play of the game for a decision.
Let's make it 4.
Why not?
Let's keep it going.
Coming up, it's a beauty between Stanford and Oregon.
Switchfoot's album Vice Versus is available on iTunes. To learn more, go to ESPN.com, keyword music. The Nissan Pregame Shift is next after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
David Shaw, in his first year as head coach of the Cardinal, leads the troops out. One of the biggest games in the history of Stanford football. This has been the Nissan Pregame Shift. Kickoff is coming up live from Stanford, California. Now a look inside Nissan's Heisman House. And now for our conference update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper 10, the Pac-12 for the first time, the 2 at the top of the Pac-12 North. And if Stanford wins, they wrap up the title, and they will host the conference's first ever championship game on Friday night, December 2nd. Now, David Shaw is with our Aaron Andrews down below, so let's go to Aaron.
Brent, thanks. Coach, you told me today one of your biggest concerns, number 21. I know you can't stop LaMichael James, but what's key in containing him tonight?
We got to gang tackle him. You know, we don't want to make this a whole battle of one-on-one tackles. We're getting multiple hats to the party and try to bring him down.
So much hype surrounding this game, so much on the line before your guys ran out. What was your final message?
Final message, to play our game. You know, to use the energy of the crowd to play the best game and the biggest game.
Thanks for your time. All right, Brent.
Chip Kelly will kick it off. Stanford won the toss and elected to receive, and Rob Beard has returned as his kicker. He's been battling an injury throughout much of the season, and Beard will put it on the tee. As you see, a beautiful night for football here, and it is a rocking sellout crowd, something we're not that familiar with here at Stanford. But between Jim Harbaugh and now David Shaw, they have put the show on the road here. A lot of Oregon fans, of course, have traveled down from the great Northwest. There's young Montgomery, a freshman, with Owosu out at wide receiver. He was expected to start, and he'll be back along with Stewart. Stewart, a very fine blocker. They'll try to get this ball into the hands of number 88. Journey begins here. Montgomery from the 3 will come out. Slips, and he is down. And folks, that turf is a story. It had rained here yesterday. It's moist, and Herbie, you saw down below that the grass is a little bit long. It's a little bit of a home field advantage against the speed of the Ducks, would you say?
Yeah, without a doubt, and it is very slick, and it's something to keep an eye on throughout this game with the quickness we have from Oregon and from Stanford. Now, Andrew Luck, of course, that we've talked a lot about him, the experience, the expertise, kind of the offensive coordinator out on the field for the Cardinal tonight. They'll put a lot of responsibility on his shoulders tonight at the line of scrimmage.
Stephon Taylor is his running back. They try to establish the run game first. Nick Aliotta, the defensive coordinator of Oregon, certainly knows that. Here comes Stephon Taylor, and they stop him after, and he keeps on going. He did a good job of moving the pile. Herbie, just what you were talking about in that piece you showed us in the setup to the game, how strong he is.
He is very, very powerful. And I think along with the vision that he has in the field with this offensive line, he was stopped there about for a gain of a yard, maybe 2 yards, but he kept pushing the pile. And Brent, we're going to keep talking about this on early downs. They're going to try to run the ball. The play action pass on 1st and 10. You can see Oregon there, 9 guys up close to the line of scrimmage.
From the pistol, Luck's first pass of the game. Throws to the right sideline, high and incomplete. Fleener, the tight end, was the intended target, and it was a little bit high. And that brings up a 3rd down, Herbie, and take a look at our impact players.
Andrew Luck and Stephon Taylor, we've talked about the impact they're going to have on this game. Kobe Fleener is a man to keep an eye on, number 82. Probably the favorite target of Andrew Luck and the 3rd fastest player on this team, even though he is a tight end. And then Chase Thomas, 44 on the other side on defense for the Cardinal, brings tremendous amount of leadership and inspiration to that defense.
3rd down and 6. Fleener now flexes from the right side of the line. Luck is going to flare the ball, and Gaffney into the game cannot get to the first down. Read well by Michael Clay, number 46, the linebacker, doing a superb job. Folks, here comes the punting team on the field for Stanford, and this is a story.
Only the 9th 3-and-out this entire year for the Cardinal. Michael Clay, Brent, you're all over it. He's locked up one-on-one in man coverage, and he had him from the very beginning. He was able to set his sights there and use the speed to get to the perimeter.
So the only team with a better average as far as 3-and-outs are concerned that Herbie talked about, USC. And so here is the Michael James is back deep. They put him on punt return coverage, and he makes the fair catch. And so now here comes the quack attack, led by Darren Thomas and, of course, LaMichael James. And what Chip Kelly wants is a lot of possessions in a game. He scores so fast. He doesn't worry about time of possession, but he will worry about number of possessions. And Herbie 3 and out works right in his favor.
Yeah, and the tempo now becomes a concern. You will see how quickly they go to the tempo. But Darren Thomas' ability to manage this offense, running and throwing tonight, will be a big key for the Ducks attack.
LaMichael James is right behind the quarterback, and Thomas flares out to the right. And this is Darren Thomas, the quarterback, who was brought down after a couple of yards on the play.
One thing that Chip Kelly loves to do is what you call window dressing. A lot of different formations to go along with the tempo, try to get the defense confused, and then get that ball snapped before they're aligned.
LaMichael thrown for a loss by the Stanford front that time. Trent Murphy from Phoenix, Arizona. He led the charge.
Well, the kryptonite to this offense is penetration. We've seen them in the bigger games against some of the SEC opponents. What's happened up front, and if you're going to stop LaMichael James, it's as much about your defensive line getting upfield and fighting through the blocks as anything.
Now the Ducks are in 3rd and 11. Darren to put up his first pass, and it is incomplete. Batamasi with the coverage. Batamasi's out of Silver Spring, Maryland, and he had tight coverage on that throw, and so it is now 3 and out for the Ducks.
Well, give the Cardinal, it kind of gives them, I think, a boost after the way their offense went out. Both offenses maybe feeling one another out, but the Cardinal up front that time just beating the Oregon offensive line on all 3 of those downs.
Jackson Rice to punt it, and Terrell is back deep. Drew Terrell. A beautiful punt. Drives Terrell back, and he's out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Andrew Luck's second possession. Both teams go 3 and out. A 57-yard punt. Scoreless here at Stanford as we continue Dr. Pepper's road to the championship. The Stanford offensive line, Herbie, is a big story. Number 55, Jonathan Martin, and number 52, David DeCastro, leading the way. 2 of the very highly ranked prospective NFL players, both first-round draft choices. Martin is at left tackle. DeCastro's at right guard, if you want to take a peek at these 2 fellas. And here is Taylor tiptoeing behind the right side, and DeCastro continues to pick up an extra yard here. And these are the fellas up front. And Herbie, you and I, we think this is one of the best offensive lines in the country.
Without a doubt. And we've had Wisconsin, and I think Wisconsin's probably about the only other offensive line across the board you could put on the same page with this group. I think this group, because of the 2 superstars with DeCastro and Martin and the overall athletic ability, I would give the nod to this team. And you can see they're not going away from their power play. The first play there, they pulled that backside guard again. They're not going to stop running it all night.
Now they're convinced that they can hold out Aliota's rush. Now they bring a blocker, Gaffney, back in. And Andrew takes off, and on the move, he is so accurate. Whalen's first catch of the game, and the Ducks do not let him get the first down. Terrific gang tackling by that Oregon defense. And, oh, what a spot. Is that the line, Judd? Look at that spot he's going to get.
And according to that spot, they are going to give him that first down. But defense moving, it's going to be a constant, again, chess match. One thing about Nick Aliotti, very multiple. They'll show a 4-3, they'll show a 3-4. Based on their defensive linemen, they're going to move people around in coverage, try to create as much confusion as they can for Luck in this offense.
So they get the spot, and they say thank you very much. And it is a 1st down and 10. And you can see all the shifting that the Cardinal will do throughout the course of the game. Long handoff to Taylor, and he's out to the 21-yard line. That 1st down carry, and John Boyette, fine safety from Napa, makes his first stop of the game. There is Boyette. He's one of the ringleaders of that secondary. He helps Aliota get everybody in the right position.
This is where they give Andrew Luck the ability to read coverage. You notice he's not always looking over to the sidelines. He's calling the plays at the line of scrimmage.
Stays right on the ground. Taylor slips his way, and this will bring up a third down at the 25-yard line. That's the second time now we've seen a Stanford player slip.
You've heard all year about how David Shaw has been willing to allow Andrew Luck to call plays at the line of scrimmage. And I said, is there a tip? Is there a way to really know when he's doing this? And he said, if you ever see us in a hurry-up mode, we kind of just leave it up to him. Let him read the defenses. Let him evaluate what he's seeing, and then get us into the right play. He does a good job of getting us out of bad plays and into good plays.
Need 4 for the first down. Pressure coming. On the move, he can throw accurately, incomplete that time, and Whalen was very well covered by Eddie Pleasant, the veteran from La Palma, California.
And again, you can see where the field starts to come into play for these receivers where they're trying to make adjustments. Griff Whalen at the top of the screen, you can see how he goes down. He's able to get back up on his feet, but a tremendous effort by Eddie Pleasant. Look at Whalen trying to make a cut. He goes down. He's lucky enough to try to respond to that. But I'll tell you what, Eddie Pleasant, that's the area that he has improved the most, is in coverage. The former linebacker now playing safety for the second year.
James is back again, and David Green to punt. So LaMichael is the return man. And this one will give Oregon decent field position. Let's see where they mark this ball at the 47-yard line. When you come back, that's only a 28-yard punt. Chance for the Ducks.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Northwestern Mutual, the power to predict your own financial future. Learn more at northwesternmutual.com.
One of the great sights in the United States, the Golden Gate Bridge. And if you haven't seen it, make a trip. First down and 10 now for the Ducks, who went 3 and out with their first possession, in case you just joined us. And Michael's got no day. Thomas cut him off, and there is nothing doing.
Brent, right now, it's early in the game, but look at the battle up front. Look at the line of scrimmage, which way it's going. Is there any question? I don't care how good you are as a running back and how sophisticated Chip Kelly's scheme is. If the boys up front aren't going to help you out any better than that, it's going to be a long night for this offense.
Second down. Nothing doing again for LaMichael James, and that was Terrence Stevens. Big Terrence Stevens, number 99, out of Maryland. And Chip Kelly probing, trying to find something. He'll keep an eye on the defensive sets. He preys on your weakness. And he hasn't found any yet, but he'll keep probing. Third down and 10. In trouble. Going to be a big-time sack, and that's going to be intercepted. Picked off by Stanford, unless the whistle blew. If the whistle blew, it will be Trent Murphy's interception called back. But let's hold on here a second. This is Jack Follier, the referee.
Matt Masafilo had
the ruling on the field is that the runner's forward progress was stopped before he passed the ball. Fourth down.
That's a 20-yard loss on that sack. I thought we were going to have intentional grounding.
Sure.
When he fired it off.
Well, then, of course, it's intercepted by Murphy, but Masafilo gets right in there, and again, you get Oregon to third down. I was surprised that Darren Thomas.
That's intentional grounding, and then he picks the ball
It's
off.
Interception.
Exactly.
I mean, it's either forward progress or an interception. I mean, he appears to be still battling for his life there, but Masafilo, again, gets pressure.
So we have come to an offensive explosion as Terrell is down, and guess what? A defensive standoff breaks out. Go figure, Herbie. Huh?
It's nuts.
Huh?
They're warming
I
up.
thought it was a point a minute we were going to watch. Timeout. Well, the stars of Super Bowl past are coming to Monday night. This Monday, of course, Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, will be at home, big favorite over the Vikings. But how another week down the road? How about Tom Brady? He won 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He'll be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to right that ship. And meanwhile, the duel between Eli Manning and Drew Brees. Monday Night Football features Super Bowl MVPs the next 3 weeks. And here we go with Aaron Luck. He has been luckless against this defense so far, but there a gaping hole opens for Taylor. And Aaron, we've got a lot of players slipping on this field.
Let me give you an update, Brent, first about the grass situation. Talked to the head of football operations for Stanford, Matt Doyle, about it. He said a couple weeks ago when they played Washington, it got really torn up, so they added new grass. It did rain last night, as you mentioned, so very slippery. I'll give you a point about Oregon's cleats right after this, Brent.
2nd and 3, Gaffney checks into the game. Gaffney, first down, explodes on a big running hole as they stick with the running game. Boyette.
Brent, you talked about it, the power play. Watch Yankee, the backside guard, pulling around. Really good block there. Also, Ryan Hewitt leading the way, overpowering that right side. What a block also by Meinken. Boy, they just, that's the way you execute the power play. That time from a 3 tight end formation.
Hey, Herbert, we've got our first down of this game.
Here we go.
But there is no question when you see Stanford, they want to establish that run game. They want to stay balanced. We'll see Luck throw it before the night's over, obviously. And here he is on first down under pressure. Up in the air. Knocked incomplete. What a great play by that offensive lineman. There was pressure coming, but it was the offensive lineman who saved the day for Andrew Luck.
Lacombo comes off the edge. He's lined up on Griff Whalen. He comes all the way off the slot receiver. Boy, that was a close call. Andrew Luck just started. I'll tell you, that he pump faked it, and then he got rid of the ball again. Lacombo came on that blitz. Nobody picked him up off the backside.
Jonathan Martin saved an interception. When he came back and knocked that ball down, the big left tackle, that prevented the pick. 2nd down and 10 now for the Cardinal. There's a slip, so let's go back to Aaron, and let's talk about all this slipping here.
Brent, just to add on Oregon's cleats, I did just speak with their equipment manager about it. They're actually wearing detachable cleats where they can add a longer cleat to grip the grass here. Only 2 players have chosen to do that, Kenyon Barner and LaMichael James. Also, I asked about the length of the grass. Is it affecting Oregon? Chip Kelly says, I never get caught up in that kind of stuff.
It looked to me like the Stanford trainer was going over to get a fresh pair of shoes for somebody too. So it is certain now that the length of the cleats are becoming a bit of an issue, and the fellas will get those changed as this game progresses, Herbie, as you know. 3rd and 9 now, and Luck has got plenty of time. Intercepted. A horrendous throw. And Stuckey is upended by Luck at the 20-yard line. The Ducks are in business.
And let's give Nick Aliotti a lot of credit here, showing a look and showing pressure, and then as the ball snapped, they drop back into coverage. And I don't think Andrew Luck, who was locked in there to his receiver, even had a feel that Stuckey was sitting back there. They showed the blitz, and then they dropped back into coverage. Luck's looking left. By the time he comes back to his right, Stuckey's there. Now, the one good thing is, as a quarterback, you never want to give up on the play, but a poor decision that time by Andrew Luck.
But Luck did save a touchdown with that tackle at the 20. Now, Darren Thomas keeps it on the option and picks up 9 yards, just shy of the 10, and Richards makes the stop, and the Ducks are threatening.
It's amazing that a turnover can impact your own offense, because the momentum that this team feeds off of, it can happen like that. And it's an interception, and all of a sudden an offense that couldn't do anything right picks up 9 yards on 1st and 10.
And here comes Thomas. Young man nicknamed Black Mamba, and he could not get away from Terrence Brown, the defensive back, who made a sensational stop in open field, and that's what you have to do against the Ducks, tackle in space.
And LaMichael James makes a nice block. This play looked like it had a chance, but that's what everybody wanted to see. Could this Stanford defense make plays against the Anthony Thomas and LaMichael James in space? That time they did.
3rd and short. LaMichael twists to the 3-yard line. It's 1st and goal for Oregon. Howell bringing him down at the 3, and the Ducks are quacking.
Great execution here, and here comes Darren Thomas again.
LaMichael won't get there. Thrown back by the middle of that Stanford defense.
Well, this attack is very effective down in this area, and we've seen that for years since Chip Kelly has taken over as a play caller in Eugene. They've been inside this red zone area 42 times. They've come away with 32 touchdowns. That's 76% and 5th in the country down in this area.
2nd down and goal. Juggle on the snap. Darren keeps it on the move. High and caught. Touchdown. Oregon strikes first. Tuanai working the back of the end zone. Makes the grab. And Tuanai puts Oregon ahead.
He threw this football on time, giving Tuanai a chance to get his feet down. He's got possession of the football, but Darren Thomas, it shows you an ability there to throw the ball, gets his hand, or gets the ball out to Tuanai and gives him that chance to be able to easily get his feet down for the touchdown. Great throw by Thomas.
So there is that spread, 1 point or 2. They snap it. They're going to throw for 2. The trickery, caught, got it. It's 8-0. They throw back to Jeff Palmer.
That's the thing with these guys.
They always come up with a new wrinkle.
Yeah.
Or 2. We've just begun. Oregon takes advantage of an Andrew Luck interception, scores, and then adds the 2-point conversion off of one of their variety of formations as Stewart picks it up, and he is down at the 22-yard line. So I want to go back to this 2-point here, Herbie, and watch the formation.
Yeah, this is what anybody who defends Oregon understands. And you think, okay, are they going to go for this? Are they going to snap it? This is crazy. You've got the holder out there. Go ahead, Brent.
Well, over here you've got Paulson, the tight end. He chucks it.
And Paulson
to Palmer. Did you have that written down your card that this was
I've got
the
it all. Yeah, oh, yeah. Paulson played quarterback in high school. So, he has some experience throwing the ball, but you never know, again, what you're going to expect to see from Oregon, even early in a game like this.
So they go out by 8, and they come back with Taylor, the Cardinal, here on their first down from the 22. Now let's go.
The last time that Andrew Luck was out there, the pressure, the mix, the way Oregon's mixing up their looks, he came back to the right, did not even feel stucky, and he makes the poor decision. And on the other side, Darren Thomas, who's known with his ability to run the ball, makes a great throw and throws it on time. And the difference in the game right now is the turnover and the touchdown by Oregon.
2nd down and 3, and Taylor bangs for the first down.
The last time, Brent, you and I had Stanford, they're playing in the Coliseum. Late in that game, Andrew Luck made a poor decision. He threw the football out in the flat. Nikhil Roby stepped in front of it, walked into the end zone for a touchdown, pick 6. The very next possession with 3 minutes to go in the game, he leads Stanford right down the field. He goes 6 for 6. He had a 16-yard run and then had a tying touchdown. He responded from adversity. Let's see what he can do here after that last interception.
He's at the 33-yard line with this first down. Complete. And that's to his tight end, Kobe Fleener. As we go for an update, here's Robert Flores in the studio.
All right, Brent, Taco Bell studio update after Alabama had missed another field goal, this one against Mississippi State. Eddie Lacy puts them on the board in Starkville. That caps off a scoring drive, and the Crimson Tide leading on ESPN 7-0. Number 1 LSU only up 14-7 on Western Kentucky at the half. That one on ESPNU. Brent.
All right, Robert, and so the kicking troubles continue for Alabama. And here, Stanford trailing Oregon by 8 points. And Taylor battling for the first down marker. And it's going to be spotted just short as Gilden able to get him out of bounds short of the first down.
One of the great matchups in this game when Stanford wants to run is whether or not they can get to the corner. That tight end block on the edge of the offensive line is so important because so often you see Taylor and these other Cardinal backs want to bounce things outside.
Wilkerson is now in, but they hand it to Hewitt, and he barges straight ahead for the first down, just shy of midfield.
I really think in watching these guys and studying film that Ryan Hewitt, who's a sophomore out of Denver, has become one of the more versatile players in this lineup. With Zach Ertz out, as much as they love the 3 tight end set, Hewitt's ability to make plays and his versatility is key, and now Luck's up at the top of the screen.
So they run the Wildcat, and it is Gaffney keeping it, and Gaffney continues to battle. By the way, Herbie,
I was going to say now
that they say they've taken it away, but I think it was down. He was down.
I'm going to ask if David. Oh, the official came in and said Oregon ball. He's fighting towards the end of this play. Did the ball come out? Looked like his knee may have been down. Wow.
Troy Hill, the corner there, Herbie, is in wrestling for the football.
Sure is. We're going to take a look to see if his right knee is down before the ball comes out. But on that angle, it looked like he's down.
Evidence enough then to say that Stanford keeps the football on that angle?
Based on that, let's see some of the other looks. I mean, it looks like his right knee is down. Oregon is attacking that football. You got Gaffney, who, again, like all backs, trying to fight for those extra yards. And based on the replays that we've seen so far, I mean, that one look to show his right knee down as Hill's fighting for that football.
Fred Gallagher is our replay official upstairs here, taking a look at this. And again, this Big 12 crew.
But I see that Wildcat, and they ran the Wildcat a few times. We had him a couple weeks ago against USC. Did David Shaw did he have you sign off on that before he called that play there? Yeah, you guys had a little fun.
I said,
there.
Coach, I second guessed you. He said, I was going to bring it up myself if you weren't. He said, let me show you something at the board. So I went up to the board, and he said, Monty Kiffin's defense is what? I said, well, the cover 2, the Tampa 2. And what happens in it? I said, well, the middle linebacker goes back. He said, okay. He said, we had third down. First and second, I wouldn't take it out of Andrew Luck's hands. But on third down, we wanted to move him out and run where the linebacker was out. And I said, Coach, I'm going to give you full credit for a great mind, but I still disagree.
That wasn't a shot.
No, my point to him was when you have someone as good and as capable of Luck, you just hate to see the ball out of his hands. Now, we're coming off a bad pass that he just threw over there, which led to an 8-0 Oregon lead. And in this particular instance, they're now debating whether or not the Wildcat back fumbled on this play. Herbie, I think your feeling is that knee is down.
It looks like his right knee was down, and then the Oregon defender, Troy Hill, ripped it out of there.
I want to add something on David Shaw. He could not have been more charming in talking about it. I mean, I've known his father, Willie, for a long time. He played football here at Stanford. His idol is Bill Walsh. You go into their office and you see all kinds of quotes from the late, great coach. And he really has done a terrific job in following architect Jim Harbaugh's setting up a tougher system here at Stanford. I saw Jim last night by accident, too. He and his wife were out for dinner getting ready for the Giants in San Francisco. And he said he'd be watching this game tonight, pulling for the Cardinal. And he and Willie Shaw, they text each other every now and then.
After further review, the runner was down. Yeah. The ball becoming loose. It'll be camp ball. I'm going to check to see if it's close enough for a first down.
And, I think a lot of people, when Jim Harbaugh decided to go to the NFL, are very interested in seeing this Cardinal team this year with David Shaw as the leader, to see if they could maintain that edge, that toughness, that mental and physical toughness that they've played with the last couple of years. And so far here they are, fourth in the BCS standings, and definitely showing an ability to play with that same attitude that Jim Harbaugh created when he was here.
I think they're going to have to move the chains. So there they bring the spot up. The ball is going to be spotted at the 44. It was a 7-yard gain on the play, and so now they're working with the chain gang to get things straight over there on that side. And the Stanford offense with a chance to catch its breath. Taylor back on the field. So it is a 2nd down and 3 after the 7-yard gain. And that's Montgomery, the freshman, motion through the backfield. And here's Stephon Taylor powering ahead for what appeared to be a first down.
You know what's interesting, and I know Phil Simms and others have weighed in on Andrew Luck. What's interesting is he doesn't have a wide receiver with Chris Owusu out that is truly a vertical threat. And what I mean by that is an Oregon defense can crowd the line of scrimmage without necessarily feeling threatened by the deep ball, because they don't have anybody right now that can get behind coverage, and it puts that much more pressure on Andrew Luck and this offense.
First down and 10. Play action, roll to the right, and Fuller drops it. Well, speaking of Phil Simms, let us bring up a couple of quotes, actually. Now, let me explain Steve Sarkisian. He said this week because he's getting ready to play USC, folks. And he did help recruit Matt
Barkley's his guy.
Coach Steve, it's his guy. We understand that.
Yeah.
However, with Phil Simms, I respectfully disagree. I've seen Andrew Luck now for several years, and he can flat out throw with those guys who play Sunday football. Here comes Andrew Luck handing off to Taylor. Taylor cuts through the middle, hangs for a first down. Your feeling about Simms' observation.
And this is what Andrew Luck right now is doing. He's managing an offense, and he's relying on Taylor and this running game to help him out. But, Brent, how do you evaluate whether or not he's an NFL quarterback or make a statement like that when he's dealing with possession receivers outside of Chris Owusu, who's been banged up most of the year? When he gets receivers that can run like NFL receivers, then I think people will see what he can do throwing the ball.
Taylor finds daylight, and he is back pleasant. Heavy hitter. Was a linebacker until they made a safety out of him, and you could see the power that he brought on that play.
Well, speaking of power, this is what Stanford wants to do. Not only is it important to have success within this drive, but it really starts to open up their playbook and their play selection on 1st and 10. They start running the ball like this, makes that play action pass game on 1st and 10 open up, because you get these Oregon safeties and linebackers out of position later in the game with the more success you have running the ball.
Herbie, we've come to the end of the first, and this presentation of Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines, will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Okay, so look at those numbers. Would you think that Oregon's ahead? -1 because of a big sack, obviously, and Stanford 98 yards. They've dominated everything except the scoreboard, the most important number. And now they're in the red zone, and for Stanford folks, the red zone is a story. Taylor could not get to the first down on 3rd down. Now, the Cardinal, perfect this season in the red zone. And Herbie, this is absolutely an amazing statistic with 41 touchdowns out of 52 possessions.
You're talking close to 80% of the time they get touchdowns when they get in the red zone. It has everything to do with execution and decision-making by Andrew Luck down in this area.
There's your jumbo offensive line. They move in an extra tackle, and he gets the first down. Stephon Taylor over 60 yards rushing already here in the first half of this game. He's been carrying the load for Stanford.
He is one of the more underrated backs in college football. He's tremendous power and vision. Also outstanding in pass protection, which plays a big part in his role when Andrew Luck does throw. And when they get down to this area, 1st and 10, with the success they've had running, remember, they do love to throw to Kobe Fleener, the tight end, off of play action to test those safeties' eye discipline.
He just motioned through the formation. He's flexed off to the left. He's number 82. Luck is looking in that direction. Fires wide open. Touchdown. Went outside Whalen. Griff Whalen. Herbie, once again, after a bad turnover,
comes right back down.
We see Andrew Luck lead a team down the field.
And
this is one of the reasons why the pros love it.
That's what doesn't show up when you just look at a box score. You see highlights. How he handles adversity. That was a big drive for the Cardinals.
Eric Whitaker misses the extra point. Andrew and the Cardinals should think about going for 2 also. So here is a scoring strike. But then Whitaker, who has replaced the injured Jordan Williamson, pushes it off to the right. 8-6 Ducks.
See.
Oregon leading Stanford 8-6 as we continue Dr. Pepper's road to the championship. If the Cardinal can come back and win this, they will wrap up the North and home field for the Pac-12 championship game the first week of December. This is Huff juggling it, picking it up at the goal line, coming out and run out of bounds at about the 15-yard line.
Brent, you and I talked about Kobe Fleener and how Andrew Luck likes to get him the ball. There he is. He went in motion, but 2 defenders go with him, and it freed up Griff Whalen. So Andrew Luck's seeing that. He sees a safety and a linebacker take Fleener, and Griff Whalen's out there isolated against a freshman corner. His eyes, he's locked in on that safety. He sees the safety take Fleener. It opens it up, and he actually made that throw, and Griff Whalen set the route up with a little move to the outside. He threw it to the inside. Perfect timing and a great throw.
Now the Ducks, Darren Thomas on the move, and he completes first down pass to Rashawn Vaughn. He's from Fremont, California, number 10.
I really think Darren Thomas is going to have to throw the football to get Oregon's running game going and to help the battle at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Michael James is finally brought down. Made the most of it. And talking, Herbie, to the coaches this week, they feel that number 21 is stronger than he has been. He always had that burst when he gets through as the play is being signaled in to Darren Thomas and the rest of the offense. Darren fires complete for the first down, and that works to Paulson as there's a penalty flag thrown on the play. It's thrown in the secondary. Was thrown back around the 30-yard line. I think we've got a holding call here that the back judge made.
Holding while the ball was in the air on the defense, number 3. That's a 10-yard penalty, first down.
So that's Michael Thomas from Houston, their outstanding senior defensive back, who was guilty of the hold on that play, and that'll move the ball out to the 30-yard line, Herbie, and first down.
Brett, they were locked up in man-to-man coverage. They actually got good pressure on Darren Thomas. He sat in there and showed great poise to make that throw.
There's that quick handoff, and streaking out is a young man by the name of DeAnthony Thomas from Crenshaw High School in Los Angeles, nicknamed by Snoop Dogg Black Mamba, and he is one of the fastest players in college football. You get him to space, and it's good night, Irene. Darren Thomas, handoff to LaMichael, who powers his way for the first down. So as we take a look at this freshman who originally committed to verbally to USC and then changed his mind, rated number 1, the ESPN U Top 100, ran the fastest prep 200 meter in the nation a year ago, And Snoop Dogg tagged the nickname on him that's going to last for a long time. Darren Thomas pulls it out, fires right sideline too high, incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Chip Kelly always tells us that it takes him 3 or 4 series to really get a feel for how a defense is going to defend him. He said we can study film all week, and then that night, everything that we've studied goes out the window because we're seeing some different things because nobody sees this kind of offense. The adjustment that I think he's going to have to make, as I said, is Darren Thomas in the perimeter pass game to help the battle up right now at the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 10. Great cut by Anthony to daylight. Adios. Touchdown, LaMichael James, the leading rusher in the nation. Clawing his way back into that Heisman Trophy argument after losing to LSU back on Labor Day weekend. A 58-yard touchdown run. Everybody knows it who plays Oregon. And here is Maldonado tacking on the extra point. A 15-6 lead. When LaMichael and DeAnthony Thomas get to daylight, it's over.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Buick, see real stories of human achievement on the Buick Human Highlight Reel at ncaa.com/Buick. And Citizen Echo Drive, fueled by light, it never needs a battery. Unstoppable.
So we are back where Oregon has opened up a little daylight, and the Ducks are going back to the drawing board to see what other magic they can come up with. And here is Rob Beard, who a year ago in Eugene had one of the great onside kicks that we've seen in the last few years. No need for it here. And Montgomery, the freshman, out to the 34-yard line, where he's brought down.
This can happen in a hurry. We talked about their ability to throw the ball, but they kind of stay to who they really are. And LaMichael James makes 2 outstanding cuts. The safety, Delano Howe, takes a really poor angle, maybe underestimating whether or not James could get through there. But look at these 2 cuts. I mean, it looks like he's running on ice. He's just kind of tiptoeing around, somehow maintains his balance along with that quick acceleration that he has, maintains the balance, and then when he gets in the open field, of course, he is gone. But Howe, 26, who's missed the last 3 weeks with an injury, back in the lineup as a veteran here, but makes a poor play there on the angle.
And that was Gary Campbell, the running back coach, over on the sideline with LaMichael. Taylor is the running back for Luck and the Cardinal, and now he bangs straight ahead into the middle of the Oregon defense. There is Coach Campbell. You know, he has been up there for many a year, and he just does a terrific job with the running backs and the development that you see with these youngsters and the maturity that they show under Gary Campbell is really nice to see.
Played at UCLA, knows his conference very well, almost a father figure really for all the running backs, and has become very, very close to LaMichael James.
So here we are with a 2nd and 5, and there's Hewitt offsetting. Play action. Luck looks for a target, dances out of trouble. On the move, fires high, complete, 1st down, and guess who got it? Ryan Hewitt. You talked about him, Herbie, and he has become a real big weapon for them as pressure had been brought by Washington. Luck on the moves as good as any quarterback in the country.
Yeah, he sure is. He has Ty Montgomery, the freshman, in the middle of the field, but eventually the athletic ability that he has, keeping the play alive, great coverage downfield, and boy, it makes it tough on Hewitt, but Hewitt's really getting more and more comfortable, and I think the relationship between Andrew Luck and Hewitt continuing to grow week by week because of the more reps that they're playing together.
And ball spotted at the 47 here with 10:29, and Taylor banging. As we check in with Robert Flores for an update. Robert, what do you got for us?
Well, Brett, we got an AT&T All-America Player of the Week nominee, and it's Colin Klein of Kansas State. 5 rushing touchdowns. He threw for a career-high 281 yards as Kansas State nips Texas A&M 53-50 in quadruple overtime.
2nd down and 5 for Luck. They keep it on the ground and nothing doing. Brings up 3rd down. I want to go back to Klein because a week ago we watched the young man, and you just admire what he brings to the football field.
You know, after I got done with the earthquake and everything else last week in Stillwater.
You were a YouTube sensation, by the way, but go ahead.
I went down to the Kansas State bus, and I asked one of their trainers if they could go get Colin Klein off the bus. I just wanted to shake his hand and congratulate him on his effort. He is a true throwback in every sense of the word with his performance. And it was great to see Kansas State and Colin Klein bounce back today.
Yeah, exactly. Trailed the Aggies, rallied. Straight back. Luck fires incomplete. What's your feeling about Andrews throwing a little bit high here so far this season?
A lot of that might have to do with the footing and not being real comfortable. We had him against USC, and USC's defensive front 4 got pressure on him, and I think it affected his footwork. A couple times tonight when the ball's been high, Brent, he's not been able to follow through the way he normally would, along with the footwork not necessarily being there, and the balls has sailed on him a little bit. But it's good coverage as well from Oregon.
Green is punting, and you saw LaMichael, who is back to see what he can do. James, beautiful high punt. James is going to let this one go for the end zone and try to get it out on the 20, and that's exactly what happens. So the Ducks with the lead, and when you come back, they'll have the football up 15-6. Cue the Duck. Hurry. Tonight's Aflac trivia question. Who beat Stanford's John Elway for the Heisman Trophy in 1982?
George Rogers.
Think about it now. 1st down and 10 now. Here comes the Duck attack. Kenyon Barner checks in. So LaMichael James will be given a breather here on this series. And a pitch to Barner and run down beautifully by A.J. Tarpley and a flag.
There's definitely a horse collar here. Tarpley's showing some pretty good speed. He's a freshman. First time we've seen Kenyon Barner get his hands on the football.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle on the defense, number 17. That's a 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Stanford trying to state their case here, but Tarpley just, he's saying that he grabbed him with his left arm first, but the right arm, you can see it there. He had to let go of it to get himself up off of the field.
So the chains will move to the 35-yard line here for this 1st down. And Barner banging to the left, and Howell, of course, is playing with that cast on the broken arm, and you can see it's almost like a glove that he's got.
Yeah, he played with a cast last year, too.
The coaches told us it's like a magnet. He catches the ball better with it.
Exactly. He had 5 interceptions last year with the cast.
2nd and 7. DeAnthony looking fumble. Cardinals got it. Lancaster wraps it up. The freshman had 2 big fumbles against LSU, and now a big one against Stanford.
We just talked about Delano Howe back in the lineup. Let's keep an eye on him coming off the field a little bit slow. But it looked like he actually got in there and caused the fumble with the club. Not only does the club help him make interceptions, but here it jars the ball loose from the true freshman, DeAnthony Thomas, who had fumble issues early in the year against LSU. And Howe makes that football, makes the play actually for Stanford to be able to get the ball loose, and they pounce on it. Let's see if they can capitalize.
So Howe receiving some attention, Herbie, after you pointed out a little shaky, and now Andrew Luck comes back, and here comes Stephon Taylor powering for 6-7 yards as we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary and our two Heisman Trophy candidates here tonight. One a running back, LaMichael James, with that huge run and the touchdown, and Andrew Luck with a touchdown, but a costly interception also.
That's the interesting thing. You for the most part, 7 carries. LaMichael James didn't have more than 5 yards, and then that one big carry, he's able to bounce out and make a big play.
And right back with Taylor. And if they give him the spot, he'll get the first down. He'll get the first down at the 45-yard line. Hill up to make the stop.
Remember the opening part of this broadcast, we talked about Andrew Luck gets a lot of attention, but how they run the ball and then how the defense can get their eyes locked in on the running backs. They start seeing the running backs. They start seeing the running backs, and that's where they get into trouble. And coaches talk about eye discipline with the safeties and linebackers. They start peeking into the backfield instead of reading their keys, and that's where that balance comes into play for Luck with the play-action pass.
2 receivers on the left. Luck comes back into the middle and is complete to Whalen, and a penalty flag after the play. On the tackle, Michael Clay. And this could be helmet hitting up high. Let's take a look at the tackle.
Michael Clay.
Personal foul on the defense, number 96. Unnecessary roughness. That's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
It was Clay. I believe he gave us the wrong number, I think.
He said 96, Deion Jordan, but Michael Clay, who's back in coverage, actually comes in here and lowers his head, crown of the helmet, right in to the helmet of Griff Whalen. You can see players, again, slipping all over the place. And again,
so it is first down, and Stanford close to the red zone again. Flares Taylor, fires end zone, incomplete. And he was throwing to Montgomery, and Boyette was able to defend it in the end zone.
Well, he's throwing off his back foot here again because of the pressure. Kiki Alonso gets in there. You see how he's not coming through? That's affecting his accuracy and not allowing to come through and put the ball where he wants to put it. It was really good coverage. Good job by Boyette coming up, high pointing the ball and not getting it away. But Andrew Luck that time, because of the pressure from a blitzing linebacker, was unable to step into the throw, and it affected his accuracy.
Second down and 10 from the 21-yard line. Taylor. And he is wrestled down by Alonso. Alonso bringing him down, but not until he got into the red zone.
Here we are with 6 minutes to go here till halftime. Stephon Taylor, 20 carries. Talk about a workhorse. And now they have a committee. They have some other backs that'll come in here. But Stephon Taylor already 20 carries and trying to wear down this Oregon defense.
3rd and 6, and after a shaky extra point, this is probably a 4-down territory situation for Stanford. We'll have to see how that unfolds. So here's your 4th down as the back Taylor slips out as the receiver. But they don't hesitate. They send the field goal team, Eric Whitaker, back onto the field. So the holder, Zielinski, he will put it down. 32-yarder. And play was stopped. I believe they took too much time in getting that kickoff, which is inexcusable unless they call timeout.
Delay game on the offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
So it was a delay of game, brings it back another 5 yards.
looked like a little confusion there between the holder and the snapper. I mean, they're ready for the ball to come back. Plenty of time. They just kind of wasted some time there trying to get everything set up.
Andrew Fowler is the snapper. This is now a 37-yarder for Whitaker. Perfect. So after missing an extra point, he does come back and hit a field goal. And it's 15-9 Ducks. The Duck just said, Mr. Herbstreit, your answer, please.
I get mixed up a little bit with Rozier, Herschel Walker, and George Rogers. I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs.
You are. You got him, Herschel Walker.
Yeah, baby.
How about that, baby? That's a good one. Nails Herschel Walker. Now, Herbie, bonus points. Who was third and fourth after our guy?
Can I have a little bit of time? Can I have a little bit?
No, just for fun. Eric Dickerson was third, and Anthony Carter was fourth.
Oh, my God.
How's that for a group, huh? Here we go now. Thomas, the freshman, with ball security on his mind, out to the 29. And so Tuesday night, college hoops tip-off marathon at the inaugural State Farm Champions Classic at 7 Eastern. And Mike Krzyzewski goes for Bob Knight's record. And Coach Knight will be there. He'll be on hand, of course. He was his coach at West Point for a while. And so that'll be some night coming up in the Champions Classic as Coach K goes for 9:03. Folks, do you believe it? Here's LaMichael James now back into the backfield for the Ducks. Play action from Darren. Darren throws downfield, Herbie, and he's got it complete to Vaughn. Vaughn's second catch of the day.
Comes out here on this first play, a little pump fake out to the right. He actually had Josh Huff one-on-one. Wanted to try to throw it downfield. Delano Howe is out of the lineup still.
Now they run, and LaMichael James, an easy first down. And he crosses the 45-yard line.
See the umpire here with an assist. Carrington, the safety, trying to come up and run support. And LaMichael James, all of a sudden, starting to find some real estate in between the tackles.
And so Chip Kelly, once he finds something, remember what we said, he attacks your weakness. When he sees it's there, he's going to keep coming with it until you change.
And they're in warp speed right now.
You can see the defense moving. They come up throwing, and Huff goes down as he just across the 40-yard line, and may have even lost a yard on that.
It's one thing to hurry, Brent. It's another thing. Darren Thomas is at least, he may not be able to grab the laces, but at least you got to give yourself a chance to throw an accurate pass out to a wide receiver. That time he was hurrying so much he didn't get his feet set and make a good throw out there to Josh Huff.
So DeAnthony Thomas is alongside Darren Thomas, the quarterback. DeAnthony is stuffed. On the handoff, he's driven back for a loss to the 45-yard line. Ben Gardner.
And Matt Masafilo, 98. Both young men are in there, completely dominated the left side of the Oregon offensive line with quickness. They both slanted to the inside, and Oregon didn't have anything other to do than just look back and apologize to DeAnthony Thomas.
Here's Chip Kelly again, 4th down and 7. He's going for it from Stanford's 41-yard line. Darren is back under pressure, drops off the screen. DeAnthony Thomas coming down the sideline, going for the end zone, and he steps in for the touchdown on a 4th and 7 call by Chip Kelly. Didn't even think about punting in that situation. And I want to tell you, folks, this play will show you the speed of DeAnthony Thomas. When he gets the edge, he covers it in a hurry. Maldonado is on for this extra point. And he tacks it on. 22-9.
Great call here. Man-to-man coverage on 4th down. What a call here. And I want you to look at the linebacker, Tarpley. He is man-to-man right here with DeAnthony Thomas. He's going to try to stay with him. He shows blitz and he backs out. Once he backs out, he actually gets picked up by Mark Asper, the right guard. He just did a screen. He just kind of got in his way, prevented Tarpley from being able to get out there. And once Tarpley wasn't there, everybody else has their back turned because they're in man-to-man coverage. And by the time they turn around, there's no way you're going to stop DeAnthony Thomas in the open field.
DeAnthony gets even with the defender, the coach has told us, and he doesn't look at you. He looks downfield, and on that final cut, as he came down inside the 10-yard line, he had already seen there was one defensive player to beat, and he just swivel-hipped on into the end zone. What a future this young man has if he stays healthy, conquers the fumbleitis. He has shown that one tendency, but he's only a freshman. Wow. Now Beard with the ball on the tee for the Ducks. Montgomery up into short of the 20-yard line. Ducks are playing with a great deal of emotion now. They're playing with a lead, and they're playing with fire in their bellies. Speaking of fire in your belly here, Mr. Herbstreit, only 2 races remaining, and I hope you see who's pulling up to challenge Mr. Carl Edwards. As we take it down to Phoenix, it's smoke, baby. He's coming.
Every time I see the results, I hear about smoke, Stewart. Actually, the 14, and I think Brent somewhere is feeling good right now. The 14.
Listen, Carl Edwards is a terrific young driver too. And if he wins the chase, that's great. Whoever wins it, but it is some duel. 2 races to go now, and Phoenix is coming up. You check that out during all those commercials on those NFL games. Slip over there and watch my man smoke. And Luck in underneath now. Fleener. So he comes back to the tight end, and so Andrew Luck and Stanford are under fire here right now. Remember, the computers have said they haven't played anybody this year. They rate that strength of schedule, I think, way down compared to the other unbeatens in the country. Well, here they are. They're matched to get somebody that can play, and they're trailing. Fleener makes a great grab at the 49-yard line with Pleasant draped all over him. What a terrific catch by the tight end.
Fleener is his guy, and it's 6'6", 254 pounds. Eddie Pleasant doesn't even know the ball's in the air. We talked about how much Pleasant has improved in coverage. He had 2 interceptions last week against Washington. That time in man-to-man coverage, a mismatch, and Luck found it.
Straight back, wide open, and that is Toilolo. Speaking of another tight end, Toilolo was injured a little bit last week. He's out of La Mesa, California, but he's back.
People that like to evaluate Andrew Luck about that next step. Here's a 2-minute drill, 3 timeouts. Oregon has a lot of momentum. Let's see how Andrew Luck does in this situation.
Middle's open, and it's dropped. At the 34-yard line, Toilolo couldn't hang on that time.
Watch him look off to the left, settle in, step into the pocket, and make a perfect throw to the tight end. Toilolo is actually 6'8", 262 pounds, and he got his eyes down, looking and waiting for that safety ready to hit him. When you're 6'8", 260, you don't need to worry about looking down at the safety. Right?
Exactly. 133 left here, Herbie, and Stanford with all 3 of its timeouts. Stewart, fine blocker, checks in as a protector under pressure. Fires complete to Whalen. Comes back to his go-to guy. He's the Wes Welker of this offense, folks. If you need someone to go to, it is number 17, Whalen.
And how about Nick Aliotti dialing up the pressure? Avery Patterson got free. They brought 1 more than Stanford could handle. Luck sticks in there and makes the accurate throw.
First down and 10 across the 40-yard line. Luck and the receiver slipped after making the catch. That was Montgomery, the freshman, going down as he was trying to make the cut.
That's where you wonder about Chris Owusu not being in here. Montgomery is a true freshman who had 5 receptions against USC a couple weeks ago, getting more comfortable. Ain't going to call the timeout. Have 3 of them. He needed to use 1 here. Because he didn't pick up that first down and he's in bounds, the clock keeps moving.
Now, Herbie, I want to take everybody through the Owusu package. And I believe it's a second hit against Washington State that's going to become a big story here for everybody now. Here it is last year up at Eugene. This turned the game around. Down in a heap. Watch this next hit. Lethal. Now, we had this game. McDonald suspended a half for that hit. Oregon State last week. And the youngster out of the game. Now, he has been wearing a mouthpiece that registers the G-force on the hits. All right, not everybody on Stanford's wearing. They're doing research into concussions, and it measures when the head whips. And there is the machine over there that measures the blows, and these are the special mouthpieces that are being worn by players, and Owusu had it on. The one that registered the highest was that hit against Washington State. But the G-forces and the concussion, that's why we do not have Owusu here tonight.
Yeah, it's a shame. He has taken a lot of hits, and I don't know about you, but if they handed me that mouthpiece, I'd be nervous.
Second down and 2. Luck fires back to the middle, and he's got his first down, and there's Whalen again. He's across the 15-yard line. They've got 45 seconds.
Clock stops with the first down. Buys a little bit of time here, feels the pressure, doesn't panic, just moves off to the right. Right before he gets hit, he finds his man Griff Whalen downfield. Still has the 2 timeouts.
First and 10. Slant. Touchdown. What a beautiful throw to Whalen.
Is that an NFL throw?
Looked like
Are you kidding me? George Hill, you do NFL on Sunday night? It doesn't get much better than that. Wow.
He stuck it in there, didn't he?
I mean,
now, how about the time it took him to get down the field when they desperately needed a touchdown?
What's funny is he has 2 timeouts. I'm sure people at home and maybe even in the crowd are thinking, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's like he's got everything under control. The timing between he and Whalen, 7 of 8 on that drive, complete control during that 2-minute drive.
Now Whitaker knocks through an extra point.
I mean, he was at ease. Put the ball in his hands, make him have to drive the length of the field. He saw exactly what he wanted. He threw into the teeth of this defense. Safety's up in the middle of the field. And he splits the safety, Boyette, and the nickelback who was up close to the line of scrimmage. Remember, Oregon's been pressuring him. But he saw that matchup from the very beginning. Before he got his hands on the football, he knew he wanted to go over because of the way the defense was aligned. And that's where preparation and all the work that you do during the week allows you to make those quick decisions. That was a great job there by Andrew Luck.
Well, coming up on the Capital One Halftime Report, Scott and Jesse will have all the day's big highlights and some big stories. If you haven't heard, Boise State loses at home to TCU. TCU goes for a 2-point conversion late in the game, and then Boise misses a field goal coming down to the closing seconds, and that will shake up the BCS standings. Boys will tell you about that at halftime. Kickoff along the ground here with 24 seconds. Now, the question is here, Herbie, stopping this duck attack with 18 seconds to go and 3 timeouts. ABC Tuesday Want Laughs come early, 8/7 Central. All new Last Man Standing. New Tuesday comedy hit, nominated for the People's Choice Award, Best New Comedy. Tim Allen, Last Man Standing. All new Tuesday, 8/7 Central on ABC. And here we go, Herbie.
And if you think that Oregon's going to sit on this, you're crazy. I mean, Chip Kelly, one of the most aggressive play callers in the country. Before a half, he's going to try to find a matchup and try to get the ball downfield. He has all 3 timeouts.
Darren Thomas flips it back to Barner. And Barner will step out of bounds with 11 seconds left.
Getting out of bounds, very important, but with all 3 timeouts, it's not necessarily that important when it comes to the downs, but it is important to getting it downfield. He's probably got enough time for 2 plays with 11 seconds left if Thomas can get the ball out of his hands quickly.
40 yards, I believe, is the kicker's long. And they'll stop the clock here with 5 seconds on this completion again to Barner. They've got 5 seconds. Now, remember I said his longest is about 40, and Chip Kelly will keep on attacking here. Let's see what he comes up with. Darren is back. Fires incomplete, and time runs out. Paulson was working the sideline, hoping to get that pass with 1 second left and out of bounds, but it was not to be. So Chip Kelly and the Ducks take a 22-16 lead. We check in with Aaron Andrews.
Brent, thanks. They had been getting pressure on Andrew for most of that first half. What was the difference for him in that 2-minute drill there?
That's where he thrives. He thrives at the line of scrimmage. We gave him some calls. He made some calls. Just like the SC game, that's what he does best. You
had mentioned LaMichael James, gang tackling, getting on him. He's getting going, especially in between tackles. Any adjustment you make there?
The thing is, we got to squeeze the running lanes, and we got to get him on the ground.
David, thanks.
What's interesting is Stanford rushed for 111 yards and Oregon for 106. Now let's send to the studio Scott Van Pelt and Jesse Palmer, the Capital One halftime report. Welcome back to Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. (22-16). Andrew Luck and Stanford trailing Oregon right now as we get ready for the second half. With Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger. And Herbie, Stanford took the ball to start the game. They need a stop here against the Ducks to start the second half.
Exactly right. Ducks get the ball to start things here in the second half. And it'll be interesting to see who can regain the momentum as we get this game started. Remember, Andrew Luck and Stanford finished the first half with a big drive there to get this game back to 22-16.
This is Huff from the 10-yard line on the short kickoff. And Huff is down at the 26-yard line. And a look at tonight's Southwest Airlines playbook. We had some big plays in this game. Here's LaMichael James for 58 yards. And then, Herbie, they turned Anthony Thomas loose.
And what's interesting here is a fourth down call, a screen pass, man-to-man coverage. They got Harpley out of position, and he just streaks untouched down the sidelines. And right before the half, Andrew Luck, 7 of 8, leads the Cardinal down the field and puts the touchdown and gets Stanford back in this game.
So it's a first down, and Darren Thomas keeps it. And he is ripped down at the 30-yard line by Batamasi.
That's a big hit there by Batamasi. But Darren Thomas, it's interesting, Brendan, he hadn't run the football much this year. Coming into tonight, only 26 attempts in the entire year. And talking to Chip Kelly about that this year, he said, we haven't needed him to run the ball much because of our backs and because we've been up so big in most of our games.
Now Darren is looking to throw the screen pass and a jump catch by LaMichael James for a first down at the 40-yard line.
One of the ways to take advantage of a defensive line that's just pinning its ears back, an adjustment that you make is you set up the screen pass and make that defensive line a little hesitant, make them think about something, because one of the great ways to stop a screen pass is that defensive line to redirect and be able to chase it down from behind.
So they bring Thomas into the backfield as a running back, and DeAnthony takes the handoff. So the freshman and Chip Kelly knows how important this drive is to Stanford. If he can put 7 more on the board, he's really got Stanford swimming upstream here in the second half. Second down and 10. Darren finds Huff wide open. Huff beats the corner. Breaks free for a touchdown. How about this? A missed tackle leads to a touchdown for Josh Huff. A 59-yard scoring strike. 3 huge scoring plays for the Ducks now, and the Stanford defense is reeling.
We talked about to stop this game, this Oregon running game, you've got to crowd the line of scrimmage. When you crowd the line of scrimmage, you leave your corners out there isolated one-on-one, and Josh Huff has the ability to make you pay for that. He makes one guy miss, and he uses his speed to get to the end zone.
Maldonado tacks on the extra point. So the touchdown plays tonight for Oregon, 58, 41, and 59 yards. Bringing the big play to Stanford. So Oregon is leading Stanford 29-16 as we continue Dr. Pepper's road to the championship. Stanford with the nation's longest winning streak. They have won 17 in a row. The Ducks' last loss in conference play was here on this field a couple years ago. Montgomery takes a return to the 35-yard line.
Stanford is loading up to stop the run. And Brent, one of the things that concerns anybody who's seen Stanford is the corner play on this team. Good throw by Darren Thomas, but right there you see Terrence Brown, the sophomore, fall down. Now he regains himself. He's in position to make a play, but he's isolated all by himself one-on-one. He's got to make that play right there. It's tough to do against Huff. And then maybe the best tackler on the defense, Michael Thomas, he misses in the open space as well. And that's one of the themes of this game. Oregon speed in space. How would Stanford do in the open field and making tackles?
Let's see if Stanford opens it up a little bit quicker or they stick with the power running game. And it will be Taylor on first down, picking up a couple of yards as he runs behind the left side over there. And Jordan in on the stop and Stuckey with him.
One thing you'll see from Nick Aliotti in this situation is an ability to continue to take risks, pin their ears back, and coming after Andrew Luck.
Reaching deep into the playbook. When he goes to the center's wristband, that's when they go deep in the playbook. Aliotti stands up. I don't know if you have to reach deep in the playbook for that one. There goes. I would think that Andrew would have it on his wristband. Both of them wear wristbands because of the extensive number of plays that Andrew Luck has. There's his wristband, you can see. And they're going over to the center now.
It's a great shot.
It is, isn't it?
Big third down here.
Fake, receiver, sacked, going down. Taken down at the 34-yard line. Taylor Hart was in there. Big number 66, a sophomore.
But they wanted to get the ball to Tololo, the tight end, 6'8", 262 pounds, right here. He comes right here, a little outcut. But watch how the safety and also the linebacker, DeWitt Stuckey, try to take him away. You could see that he wanted to go there. The corner also got into the coverage. They completely were dialed in to go into the big tight end, and they took him out of position.
Penalty flag prior to the snap.
False start on the offense, number 43. That's a 5-yard penalty, fourth down.
That is 4 penalties against Stanford tonight and only 1 against Oregon. They had that personal foul, which again was a very unlucky hit. When the receiver was going down, it was hard for the defensive player to pull off of it, but it was still helmet to helmet, and they've been instructed to call it. Michael James, fair catch. Stanford pounces on it, and Oregon tries to steal it back, and they can't. Stanford football on the Michael James turnover.
Like Ed Reynolds got in there in coverage And LaMichael James, a miscue here. It's exactly, he calls the fair catch. He's in position. The ball goes right through his arms. And Stanford pounces on this football. This is the break that they needed. It's actually Bernard that gets down there and is able to recover it. So Stanford catches a break and gets great field position here.
The ball is across the 35-yard line. Stephon Taylor. Here's the back. Hewitt, the fullback. Luck going to put it up now on first down. Got the slant and just didn't get it there. He had his tight end, Kobe Fleener, breaking free, and he didn't quite get it to him.
He's got to be able to lead Fleener a little bit more upfield, and it's a touchdown. He got right behind the linebacker. He got the coverage that he wanted, and he got behind Kiki Alonso, the linebacker. He puts a little bit more air under that, Brent, and leads him to the middle of the field. That's an easy touchdown.
You can see how Stanford inability to score here tonight against this Duck defense. Now they've got second down and 10. Jumbo look up front. Extra blocker for Taylor to the 30-yard line, and this will bring up a third down. One of the reasons that Stanford does not give up on the running play, and there are many. We've talked about the offensive line. We've talked about Shaw's talented running backs. But another one is the fact that these are not elite receivers. With Owosu out, his most experienced, he's working with a freshman. He's working with a route runner who comes underneath, and he's working with a group of tight ends. Stewart comes in, and Whalen, of course, has been the go-to guy on this third down. Stanford needs to pick it up here. Clean and dropped again. Fleener.
We saw Toilolo earlier drop a third down, potential conversion, and now it's arguably his favorite target, Kobe Fleener. Man-to-man coverage, he gets the separation, has a chance there at a first down, and now Stanford only converting 3 of 10 tonight on third downs.
So Whitaker is in for a 48-yarder. Obviously, the coaches feel he has a long enough leg, but it doesn't appear to us up here that field goals are going to beat this Oregon team. And that's bad off to the right. That's pushed way outside on that field goal attempt. What'd you think of that decision, Irby?
I'm with you. You think David Shaw is thinking, you know what, still early enough in this game, but Whitaker didn't even have a chance from that distance. Didn't hit it good at all. Had a rough night tonight.
So we'll take a break. Oregon's in command here.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Chrysler, imported from Detroit. And new Dr. Pepper 10. 10 bold calories, 23 flavors.
We welcome you back to Stanford, a sellout crowd, and many of whom are very disappointed in the performance of their team here tonight. The Ducks, meanwhile, have been electric. Big plays, following big plays, and LaMichael James, who fumbled and gave Stanford a scoring opportunity, but they couldn't cash in, gets the first carry, and he's about to the 33, 34-yard line.
You know, you go back to your point about whether or not the decision to go for 3 points or a touchdown, and again, it's easy to sit up here, but you look at 29-16, you're down 13 points. It's not as if Oregon's going to go to a four-corner offense and slow down. They're going to keep trying to put touchdowns up on the board.
And here comes Thomas in the middle of that defensive front. Is ready. It appears, Herbie, that once the Oregon speed game gets to the second level, they've got the big play in hand. But the front seven for Stanford has played overall pretty well here today.
And really the front, the down linemen have not only held their own, I think they've won that battle, but with this much speed, you have to be perfect with your gap control on every single run by this offense.
Darren Thomas takes the snap. Going to throw across the middle, incomplete, and that time it was fine coverage, and that's Gatewood, who comes over and makes the play. Now, he's a wide receiver who has played defensive back, and they're using him in there.
Yep, because of his speed and because of the respect that they have for this Oregon speed, they moved him over 2 weeks ago when Howe got hurt, getting him ready for this game so they could put him out there by himself in one-on-one coverage.
So this was a quick turnaround now. And Terrell fair catches and hangs on at the 31-yard line. Andrew Luck fumbles on the blitz. Aliotti dials it up, and the Ducks are in business again. Turner punches the ball out, and it comes free, and I believe that was Hannah who jumped on it. So Alioto on a 1st and 10 dials up a blitz, and watch the heat.
And Brent, there's some miscommunication on the left side of the offensive line. Looked like Jonathan Martin, the left tackle, an All-American, was moving to his outside. Nobody picked up Turner, and he had a clear shot to be able to knock that ball away from Andrew Luck.
So here comes the scoring opportunity for the Ducks. Up by 13, trying to make it more. LaMichael James is the running back. Fake the pitch to him. Darren Thomas looks end zone, fires a tough slant, caught in the end zone. Touchdown, Paulson. He has thrown for a 2-point conversion, and now the veteran tight end catches the touchdown pass, and the Ducks are starting to pull away.
See Chip Kelly pulling Darren Thomas aside, patting him on the chest, saying, "That a boy." Great throw, low and away, where Paulson has a chance to make that catch. And let's take another look at that one.
Absolutely.
But Brent, they rolled him away from pressure. He came all the way back to Paulson, made a great throw, but that ball may have gotten through Paulson's arms and maybe touched the surface. So obviously we're going to take another look at it.
Has to maintain control throughout the catch here.
Ball's perfectly thrown.
You can see it is loose there, but you can't tell as it comes down onto the ground. What was the initial? Let's take a look at this one, Herbie.
That's the one right there.
Yeah, that ball's down. I believe that
Looks
there's
like
some
the
evidence that they may turn this one over. We'll see.
The nose of the ball on that shot. This will be another good look at it here. Yeah, it looks like the nose of the ball touched the ground.
Agreed. So we'll let the replay officials sort this one out. They've got the decision to make. Fred Gallagher over next to us.
And this is what Stanford cannot afford to have happen. You can see the left tackle, Jonathan Martin. He's anticipating blitz, and nobody picks up Turner. He goes right by the left guard, David Yankee. So miscommunication leads to the turnover. Oregon tries to strike quickly on that first play.
After review, the receiver did not maintain control when he went to the ground. Incomplete pass. It'll be 2nd down.
You could see that the nose of the football. Again, the ball's thrown. Paulson, one of the more sure-handed receivers for Oregon. Ball goes right through his arms and touches the ground. Stanford catches a break here now. 2nd down and 10.
The 2nd down and 10, and the ball is on the 12-yard line, so they can get a 1st down without scoring a touchdown. Darren Thomas gets things straight with his offensive line. Here's LaMichael, spins and goes nowhere. Gardner is in there.
Tough sledding.
Penalty flag now comes flying. This was thrown by one of the back judges.
I think that Corey Gatewood got locked up with a wide receiver. With 2 and A, and And Gatewood is going after each other.
There were 2 fouls on the play. Personal foul on the defense, personal foul on the offense. Those penalties offset are down.
So they're Tuanay and Gatewood locked up.
Watch Tuanay kind of starts the war there. Takes a swing at it. I mean, they're going after each other. It's the wear and tear of the battle out on the edge there over 2.5 quarters of football.
So it's 3rd down and 10. Cardinal trying to dig in here defensively. Thomas fires, and Tuanay does not get the first down.
Gave Thomas enough time to be able to let that play open up. But I tell you, this is where Chip Kelly gets aggressive. Again, 4th down. He's going for it here.
He's already struck for 1 big touchdown on 4th down. Doesn't give the defense much time. Comes right out and goes for it. Touchdown to Michael James. By moving quickly like that, you catch a defense off balance. And tonight, Chip Kelly has struck twice on 4th down.
That's confidence in a quarterback and a confidence in an offensive philosophy, staying true to who you are. Look at the defense is still moving. They're still running around trying to get aligned. Always a great sign for Oregon and Chip Kelly when they go to that hurry up and you see linebackers and safeties still running around. The ball snapped. They have no time to react. And a touchdown. An aggressive nature of Chip Kelly pays off to the Ducks.
Maldonado adds the extra point. A 20-point advantage. On the last play of regulation, chucks it to the end zone. Caught! Michigan State's got it! You talk about an instant classic. And now they must go for 2. Got it. 56-48. Fumble! Cardinals win it. The win streak continues. Last play of regulation. Fires high. Incomplete. Nothing's going to come easy in the battle for the BCS championship game. 3 consecutive weeks. But if we're going to make it 4, Andrew Luck and the Cardinal will have to score some touchdowns here and stop the Ducks.
We had a fun year. We throw in the Michigan-Notre Dame game. We've had some close calls. The Ducks came into this game with an attitude. They wanted to prove a point. Stanford did too, but right now the Ducks are looking closer at the trophy than the Cardinal.
Their coach's trophy presented by Dr. Pepper. That'll be awarded in New Orleans to the 2012 All-State BCS Championship game winner. The Ducks got there a year ago, and they were beaten by Auburn. They have only 1 loss. Boise, unbeaten, lost today. How far will they fall? Stanford's in trouble. How far could they fall? And how far up the ladder could the Ducks go? We'll find out tomorrow night. But right now, first things first. Beard slips on the kickoff. Comes up short. Fielded by Montgomery. Montgomery now out of bounds at the 30-yard line. So as we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary here tonight with the big play attack, the quack attack, if you will, and it has been led by, well, their overall offense. What can you say, Irby?
Well, they've had big plays. I mean, and you look at time of possession, and you look at how many plays that Stanford's been able to run. But at the end of the day, it's been the opportunities that Oregon's been able to create for themselves in an aggressive nature by Chip Kelly. And we'll see if Andrew Luck, I mean, he's got his work cut out for him. But if anybody has an attitude and physical traits to be able to get his team back in a game, it's definitely Luck.
Wide open, it's Whalen. Whalen to the 48-yard line, and we're going to Robert Flores for an update. Robert?
All right, Brent, Alabama, 1 week removed from that loss to LSU, starting to open up some distance between themselves and Mississippi State. Trent Richardson plunges in from close, and it's 17-7, Alabama in the 4th.
Up by 10 in that one, eh? So it's first down and 10 here. Stanford trailing. And Andrew Luck steps up. There's a penalty flag, incomplete. The freshman Montgomery was the target. And Alonso was bringing the heat, but there is a penalty flag thrown near midfield in the secondary.
Personal foul on the defense. Hands to the face. Number 31. That's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
So Patterson, the defensive back, with the hands up to the face. Let's take a look at him, Herbie.
They're putting Patterson, who's a very physical defensive back, up close against a true freshman, gets his hand up in the face mask. Look at Andrew Luck. He's sitting in that pocket, but he's been getting hit a lot tonight. That's another blitz again by the linebacker, Alonso.
So the ball is moved to the 42-yard line of the Ducks, and they bring Gaffney in. Strong run for about 9 yards. Aliotti substitutes 4 players quickly from that far side now defensively for this second down and 1. Give some of the fellas a little bit of a breather.
And Brent,
Lee came out.
But I was going to say, I think that's the difference between the team that we saw play LSU and now. I think they have a lot more depth, similar to the way they played last year for Nick Aliotti.
Good point.
Some of those younger players have really grown up now in the latter part of this season.
Here comes the Wildcat. Second time here tonight. First down, Gaffney maintains ball control as comes across the 30-yard line for a first down and 10. We've got 6:11 left here in the third. A 20-point difference right now.
Go back to your point about that the rotation of Nick Aliotti's defense. He's been doing that this whole game, and when you face this kind of offensive style, it's important to rotate fresh bodies up front on that defensive line.
Taylor's in as the running back for the Cardinal. He can run, and he slips. Trying to cut back toward the first down as he came across the 25-yard line. He slipped.
It's a shame this field is in such bad condition. And I'm not saying that Andrew Luck's going to take this into the end zone. I mean, he's got a lot of people coming around him. But it's really impacting anybody that has the ball in their hands. They don't seem to have real good footing when they're out in open space.
I'm going to point out that the Ducks were pretty good in open space. A few of those plays. Okay. Second down and 6. Slipping, falling, couldn't get the first down. It's incomplete. It's waved off. And Toilolo going down.
This is a little thing for Andrew Luck, but accuracy. If he throws this in front of Toilolo, he catches the ball. But with this slick field, he has to come back. And I know you think he'd like to make this catch, but still, put the ball in front of him. He catches the ball, and he picks up a first down.
Third down. Comes back, a first down. Toilolo came right back to him, and this time much more accurate. Into the red zone, the Cardinal goes, and they move the chain.
Well, look at his head, looking to the left. He's looking at Fleener. He comes all the way back to the right, and that's where you need good pass protection. He came all the way back to the right, so he came off of Fleener. He was double covered again down in this area. Comes back, and he finds Toilolo for the first down.
Now from the 16-yard line. Luck with Stewart. And the Cardinal moves the pile close to the 11-yard line before Stuckey can wrestle him to the ground. 4:17 left in the third, down 20.
Oregon's just trying to keep everything in front of them. They do not want to give up the big play. They're okay with giving up some yards. They're okay with giving up some of the clock, obviously. They do not want to give up a quick, easy strike. Make Stanford earn everything that they're going to get.
Play action. End zone too high and incomplete. And Fleener well covered that time. I think Boyette was one who would come over on that. And now it'll go to a third down coming up here.
There's been some very good coverage on these tight ends and on these wide receivers. I mean, you could talk all you want about Andrew Luck and whether or not he's living up to such a high standard so many people have for him. But tonight, Nick Aliotti and this Ducks defense very well prepared. They're getting pressure on Luck, and they're definitely doing a good job of covering these receivers downfield.
Goes empty. Luck firing and slipping Toilolo as he was reaching. And I think more than any drive of the night, Stanford has encountered more trouble with its footing. On almost every play, we see somebody slipping on this drive.
You know, usually a slippery field would favor the offense because you know where you're going to go. You know which way you're going to cut, and you can position your weight to help you have a chance. It's the defense that has to react to the offense. But here, you're right. We're seeing Stanford slip all over the place.
Fourth down now. They've got the first down. First down and goal. 3:07, and there's a penalty flag. Hang on. Hewitt banged across the marker.
They're calling Oregon for being offsides. They pick it up either way.
On the defense, line up in the neutral zone. The penalty will be half the distance to the goal. First down.
Whether they needed that, they picked it up either way. But now becomes roll up your sleeves and see who's the tougher man inside the 5-yard line.
Gaffney gets the call, slashes, and he's short of the end zone. Taken down by Boyette again.
Another flag. They may have called the same thing, lining up in the neutral zone.
Offside on the defense. Line up in the neutral zone. Half the distance. Still first down.
So coach wants a number and didn't get it from the referee as to who is lining up in that neutral zone. Stewart comes in, one of the goal line backs for the Cardinal. Ward. So they come up with the full house look. And they throw to him off a nice fake. So Stewart dances in, and they've got one back. Eric Whitaker on. It's a 13-point game. But the bigger issue here is whether or not Stanford's defense is able to come up with some stops. Down by a couple of scores, but the Ducks have been running up and down the field.
See Clay, who's expecting the run, doesn't have any chance to get out there. Good call here by Stanford. Oregon obviously expecting the big power back Stewart to run the football. They slide him out into the flat. Clay doesn't have any chance to get out there. An easy throw, an easy touchdown. And Brent, you're right. Now it's up to the Cardinal defense. I mean, it's one thing for Andrew Luck to move the ball down the field. It's another thing for the Cardinal to be able to stop Darren Thomas and the Ducks.
So we want to show you the images of the day. The big picture presented by Sony. Penn State in its first game in 46 years without Joe Paterno at the helm loses to Nebraska. Clemson in dramatic fashion comes through in the end, and Kansas State survives in 4 overtimes against Texas A&M, and TCU knocks off unbeaten Boise State in Boise. So that gets you up to date, and now the kickoff, and here we go. The Ducks fielded on the 8. That's Thomas with that great speed to the 31-yard line. You hold your breath every time you touch the ball. So Stanford's winning streak very much on the line here. They've won 17 straight, 14 straight, and of course their last conference setback was in Eugene. After taking a 21-3 lead, the Ducks came back and buried them in the second half. Now it is Stanford trailing, needing some defense here. Tackling in space, the big issue with this defense. Michael James is the running back. Darren keeps it on a beautiful zone read play here, Herbie, with the quarterback keeping it.
Yeah, he's reading Chase Thomas, who they've moved down to try to deal with some of this speed. He collapses down on the running back. Easy read for Darren Thomas to pull it out and get upfield.
Second down and 2, the ball at the 39-yard line. This time LaMichael James. And he battles his way right up the middle. They couldn't stop him.
Well, it's so interesting to watch LaMichael James just find a little crease. That's all he needs. He is such a perfect fit to this style of offense. His jump cuts, lateral quickness, acceleration upfield. That time he finds his way and gets upfield quickly.
From the 47, they'll run the toss play to James. James backs his way across the 40-yard line on a strong run.
Remember, this is where Oregon prides itself on wearing you down. They don't just go with their tempo throughout the game because it helps them on each drive. They also do it because they like to think in the second half they will wear you down by trying to stay up with this tempo of Darren Thomas.
Kenyon Barner now will give James a break. LaMichael, by the way, has rushed 15 times for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. Second down and 2, a toss to Barner. And he catches a beautiful block on that play by Mark Asper, the guard who had pulled.
And the guard pulls around. Also, the big center, Grassu, pulls around. You have the receivers, 2-and-A downfield. But I just think the patience here by Barner is exceptional. He waited for Asper. He waited for all the blocks. And then once they were made, then he got in behind them and picked up good yards.
From the 29-yard line, Darren Thomas goes sideline incomplete. 2-and-A was the intended target. And it will be second down and 10, and the Cardinal must come up with a stop here. They cannot trade blows with this offense.
See some of the frustration on the face there at 2-and-A. It's because he was wide open. He knew that he had his man beat. He was out of position.
Second down and 10. Checking back with Chip. Got a read on the defense from upstairs. And now the Cardinal readjusts.
Chip's trying to make another adjustment after the Cardinals did their own adjustment.
Second down, and it'll be LaMichael James breaking close to a first down. Terrence Brown brings pulls him down, but he's to the 20-yard line.
Yeah, and Chip Kelly was going crazy on the sideline to make sure he got the play he wanted.
And then quickly back, and James is stuffed this time, and there's a penalty flag. Was there motion on this one? Was it too quick? That flag was flying.
Stanford was trying to get players on and off the field, and they may have too many men on the field.
Yeah, it's going to go against Stanford.
There was no play because the defense had 12 players. That's an illegal substitution foul. That's a 5-yard foul, which will result in a first down.
That's the risk you take when they go to this warp speed and you decide to try to run on the nose guard, Terrence Stevens. Somebody's got to come off. And by the time he realizes he's got to come off, it's Ben Gardner in full sprint. They just stop the play.
It is tricky learning how to substitute as we come to the end of the third quarter. On the far side of the field, that is even more difficult. This presentation of Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines returns after this message and a word from our ABC station. So as we move into the fourth quarter, Oregon leads Stanford 36-23, and we continue Dr. Pepper's road to the championship. LaMichael James is ripped down from behind by Trent Murphy. Good tackle by Murphy.
Trent Murphy's been very active tonight. Really, all the linebackers. We've talked a lot about how their fronts played well. Here they come again now.
LaMichael steps to the left, cuts, and he is to the 3-yard line. Michael Thomas brings LaMichael down. LaMichael James on the night now with 142 yards, looking for his third touchdown. Climbing right back into that Heisman Trophy argument here tonight. And the Ducks may be climbing back into the BCS championship argument also. Pretty good looking performance here tonight so far. LaMichael, touchdown number 3. 3 touchdowns for LaMichael James. Was he down at the 1? He may be down at the 1.
Again, he slips by, and then once he gets by here, there's the strength, Brent, that we've talked about. That ball looks like it's across the plane to me. By the time he touches, doesn't look like it's all about where the football is, right? Yeah, maybe he's a half yard short.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, half yard short. But that first play. It really, the last 2 or 3 plays, a microcosm of the way this whole game has gone. There are times where Stanford, Trent Murphy made a great play coming off the edge. It looks like, boy, Stanford, they've got this thing figured out. The very next play, because of the tempo, they're out of position, and LaMichael James comes back, and look at the quickness. Look at Tarpley, the linebacker. He picks up, he's got to deal with a block. Safety comes down, and they, boom, just like that, they pick up 12 to 15 yards.
Second down.
So it will be a second down and about a half yard.
Jordan Richards, the safety, is a true freshman. Last year he was tackling high school running backs. Tonight he's trying to stay up with LaMichael James.
Now he's got his third score. And the Ducks are quacking.
Michael James let his teammates know that he's healthy and that he's been pointing to this game. He's put up some big numbers tonight. He's had some help up front, but his acceleration and his vision on display once again for this offense.
Maldonado, cue the Duck. So we are back, and number 4 Stanford is in serious trouble as we take a look at this week's BCS standings, brought to you by Discover Card. Herbie, already Boise State a loser here.
Yeah, and the way this game is going right now, Oregon has the upper hand. Stanford potentially could be eliminated. So you have LSU, Oklahoma State, Alabama, and then it starts to become interesting. Oklahoma, who is off this week. You have Oregon potentially winning a big one here tonight on the road. Arkansas with a big win.
Kickoff is fielded at the 12 now by Umanum. And Umanum breaks free. They put him back there instead of Montgomery, and he fine return out to the 37-yard line. And this is a look at the standings, Herbie.
And you go back to Oklahoma State, who controls its own destiny. Big game at the end of the year in Stillwater, Bedlam, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. But you're one potential upset away with Oklahoma State from this becoming a real heated debate about who could be up there with LSU. I mean, Oregon's trying to state their case right now. If Oklahoma were to beat Oklahoma State, they would be up there in the discussion. Alabama's going to obviously be in the discussion.
So on 1st and 10 for Luck and the Cardinal. Fires to Whalen at the 46-yard line. Driven out of bounds after about a 9-yard gain. Well, join Reese and Kirk Herbstreit in the gang for the BCS Countdown tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. They'll tell us how it all shakes out there in the top 10. And it's getting interesting, isn't it, folks? 8:15 tomorrow night. We'll see what Andrew Luck has got left in the tank here. Firing in underneath, and again Toilolo slips. And you know, one of the things about I've always felt about a home team, which strikes me as unusual here, is that they have more equipment on hand, i.e. the longer cleats and the things that can help you from slipping. But it is pretty obvious that Oregon's having a better time of it here on this field. That pass is thrown high and incomplete, and that was Montgomery over there, and that just strikes me as a little bit unusual. Of course, both of these schools are Nike schools, and for a very good reason. Bill Knight, CEO of that corporation, attended both of these schools, an undergraduate at Oregon, and he got his graduate degree in business here at Stanford. He is right there in the center. That is the legendary co-founder of Nike Incorporated, and a very nice man who has donated hundreds of millions of dollars to both of these schools. So he's been very generous with his considerable wealth. Taylor goes down. We take a look at the numbers that we came up with. Estimated $300 million to Oregon, and to the Stanford Graduate School of Business, at least $105 million back in 2006. And so you talk about a man who has supported both of the institutions where he went to school, and there he is watching the game from the radio booth, I believe that is, for the Oregon Ducks. And there's Fleener in underneath. And he's down to the 30-yard line for a 1st and 10.
Well, Stanford just trying to sustain a drive here in a big 3rd down. They finally get the ball thrown to a receiver where he's not slipping. And when you throw an accurate pass, it allows Fleener to make that catch and get upfield. And you know, that's one of the things that you'd like to see, the leadership from Eddie Pleasant. That's what Chip Kelly was trying to say. Hey, big 3rd down, chance to get him off the field. We've got to come up with some plays.
Well, here's 1st down. Toilolo, and he comes across and picks up a 1st down into the red zone in the 19-yard line. I believe that the Cardinal, if I'm not mistaken, they're 4 for 4 in the red zone here tonight.
Yes, they are. And you see he continues to use the tight ends. And this is where Chris Owusu, in a game like this where you're in a hurry up, you're playing catch-up, you really could use a receiver out on the edge with a great deal of experience.
Chase down, and Whalen with a 1st and goal at the 8-yard line.
He's got one-on-one coverage on the outside. We just talked about what Owusu can do, but Whalen has had to pick up the slack. He's man-to-man against Troy Hill, gives him a nice shake there at the line of scrimmage, and once he's able to separate from Hill, then it comes down to the timing and a rhythm there between Luck, who you could see in the background, and Whalen. By the time Whalen turned out of that cut, the ball was in the air on the backside shoulder, exactly where it needs to be, to give Whalen a chance not only to make the catch, but get upfield there and try to shake loose from Hill.
So on 1st and goal, shovel pass inside, and the Ducks actually with very good defense against it. Michael Clay, pretty good looking linebacker, Herbie.
I think Michael Clay's had to step up to the leadership that Casey Matthews left this team after a 3-year starter. Meant so much to the team. The coach is telling us that he's kind of the glue now. Has outstanding speed. He's healthy now. He had an ankle back in week 2 against Nevada. Outstanding instincts. And they just say the overall defense as a group plays much better when 46 is on the field.
2nd down and goal for the Cardinals. Pressure, and down goes Luck at the 11-yard line. The heat from Cadu. Interesting, Cadu's father came up to me prior to the game, okay? And he said, will you and Mr. Herbstreit give my son some love tonight?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a big-time player.
Yeah, he sure is. He's battled through some injuries. And really, the last 3 or 4 games, Josh Cadu has taken his game to a different level. He has 6 sacks on the year. And I think they move him down as a defensive end. You know, he's an outside linebacker, but they move him down when he faces teams like this because of his pass rush abilities.
3rd down and goal from the 9-yard line. Luck going to take off. Down to the 1-yard line, and a shoe came off somebody's foot there, one of the Ducks. And this is that 4th down coming up.
Nick Aliotti deserves so much credit for the preparation and trying to match up with David Shaw's mind and the experience and the mind of the quarterback, Andrew Luck. They have been in position all night, holding up and forcing this 4th down. They keep it's the coverage. Andrew Luck doesn't have anywhere to go with the football because his primary receivers are double teamed.
Cross into the end zone. It may have been a free play. I think a defensive lineman again came across the neutral zone, and Stewart's touchdown is going to count.
Offside on the defense, number 66. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
So Taylor Hart encroaches. And Stewart goes airborne for the score. You know, one of the things the scouts are going to be impressed by, Luck, never out of it, keeps coming, keeps firing. You know, he's a great, great competitor. Those are some of the things, and if we had, that one just did get across. Hello.
It's an adventure.
It is an adventure. And our adventure continues. Time out.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online, only at southwest.com. John Hancock, the future is yours. And the 2012 Ford F-150 with available EcoBoost. Visit Ford.com/big score to learn more.
So welcome back to Stanford in the 4th quarter with Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews. I'm Brent Musburger. It is a 13-point advantage. And Stanford's win streak, the longest in the nation at 17 games, is on the line here. Short kickoff is fielded on the 11 by DeAnthony Thomas, the freshman. And he is down at the 29-yard line. Herbie?
Well, Michael James told his teammates he wanted an opportunity to make plays. He was cooped up for the most part early in the game, but then eventually got loose. He had a big run of 58 yards and has really been able to make enough plays here to get this Oregon offense into the end zone. 3 touchdowns on the night.
But here comes a critical juncture in this game. I mean, if Stanford is to get back, they're going to have to stop the Duck attack. It is as simple as that. Barner gets the first carry into the middle, and that's a tough first down run. When you get yardage like that on first down, it gets a whole lot easier for the offense.
In which they've not been doing a lot of. And Barner comes in with fresh legs. That's only his third carry on the night.
And they're up and ready to go again. Check it back over to the sideline. And again, and bring a little time off that clock with this 13-point lead. Here comes Barner. Got the first down. Breaks across midfield before Carrington, defensive back.
See, this is where they really, really challenge you mentally, because you're down. All you have to do is let up one play and go from 100% effort down to 90% effort. And a guy like Barner gets a seam or a crease, and he picks up yards quickly.
At the 49-yard line with a first down and 10 and a 13-point lead and 8:40 to go. And Chip Kelly is taking his time. Milking it down, bringing it to 5. Now they got to get ready to put it in motion, and the clock is apparently not running somewhere.
Play clock was down to about 2 seconds when the official came in.
It was the game clock that wasn't moving. So now they have to make a decision on where to reset it. So Chip and his quarterback.
Clock operator, please reset the game clock to 8 minutes and 30 seconds. 8:30.
So since that first quarter, when they were stymied a little bit again, Chip Kelly just keeps probing. And he's got that great speed. Finally was able to turn it loose for some big plays here, and he's dominated. And Michael watching. He's had a big night. 146 yards and 3 touchdowns. First down, 10. Now looking, they can't get the
game clock.
The play clock.
Chip Kelly thinks the game clock should be running.
And the referee's going to stop it.
The play clock started to run down, and then it started over again. Went back up to 25.
The play clock was interrupted. We're going to reset the play clock to 25 seconds, and the game clock will not start until the snap.
So now the referee's going over to explain to Chip. He wants him to go ahead and run it now. First down and 10. From the Cardinal 49-yard line, and it's Barner, like Herbie said, with those fresh legs, and good first down run again before Murphy can make the stop, and game clock moving along now.
And they get up to the line of scrimmage, and even though it seems like they're working the play clock, you never know when they might go with that quick snap. All
All they're doing is trying to get Stanford to obviously tip their hand with what kind of formation, what kind of coverage they're in.
Keeps it himself, and he's got nothing but daylight. Down to the 25-yard line. And Himscott finally tracked him down.
It's a staple of the offense. Can't just pin your ears down and try to take away the running backs because Darren Thomas has enough athletic ability, and I love how he tried to stay in bounds there.
Milking the clock with this 13-point lead. And at the 25-yard line, the nation's longest winning streak in jeopardy here. And Barner is stopped by A.J. Tarpley.
Tarpley's been busy, hasn't he, Brent?
Yes, he has.
He's been out there.
So that winning streak for the Cardinal, Herbie, stands at 17, and that would mean Boise State's done, so Oklahoma State and LSU. And I know that Houston story of that quarterback, Keenum, is going to attract game day next week to go down there. That's right. That'd be nice to go down and take a look at that young man. His gaudy numbers are unbelievable. Now there's a handoff. Barner is stopped, and then after you get done with game day, it looks like you're going to be coming up to join me at Eugene for the USC-Oregon game, and that'll be a pretty good football game up there now. USC, good team.
Yeah, that will be a great game. USC again, kind of a team that's off the radar, but looked impressive today again against Washington.
We got a 3rd down and 10, and Kelly's doing just a magnificent job of milking this clock right now with a 13-point lead. He is a terrific game manager. And he keeps the fresh legs in Barner. And that was Trent Murphy, and another one, Herbie, who's played well for the Cardinals. You mentioned the linebackers that stood up, and there is Chip Kelly since becoming the head coach at Oregon. Just an unbelievable record here in the Pac-12.
Interesting here, 4th down, and Chip Kelly still trying to keep Darren Thomas at the line of scrimmage and see if he's going to end up calling a timeout, if they're going to go for this.
Checks over, going to milk it down a little bit.
Walking towards the official. He wants a timeout.
He wants the timeout. He'll bring it on down. So now he takes his timeout, but he brought the game clock down to 5:14 before he called it, and now he sends the kicker out onto the field.
On 2nd and 3rd down, kept the ball in the middle of the field. You get 3 points then, still you get a 2-possession game, but you're up by 16 points.
Well, let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary, our 2 Heisman Trophy candidates. And while we were away, Herbie, you made a great point now about this Heisman Trophy race.
And you know how much the voters looked at teams that are winning. And tonight, Andrew Luck, who coming in tonight was a clear-cut favorite. If they end up losing this game, Trent Richardson lost last week. Kellen Moore lost today.
Now Maldonado with a 40-yarder. And he's got it. So it's a 16-point lead or a 2-touchdown and 2-point conversions as we take a look at the Heismanology vote, of the way that some of the fellows who are going to vote said they would have Luck still with a very big lead on Richardson of Alabama. And, of course, Kellen Moore upset by TCU. They have to keep an eye on Whedon and Keenum. You're going down to see Keenum, and they're both coming on the outside like smoke.
Yeah. it does make the results of this game, if it ends up holding up, it makes not just the BCS race and discussion interesting. It does make the Heisman discussion because Luck was, from the beginning of the year, the guy. And you know how voters are. They look at what a team does as much as how the individual does. And with Kellen Moore and Andrew Luck both potentially losing today, Richardson losing last week, it's wide open.
Right.
I'm not saying who's the ahead of who, but how do you vote?
I mean, it's going to be. I think you'll see a wide array of opinions on how you vote for whoever it might be. Would Andrew Luck, with that big a lead, even with a loss tonight, will he still be at the top? We'll see.
It'll be interesting. As we get ready now, and Mr. Luck is saying, hold on there, Mr. Herbstreit. I got 509. All I need is 2 touchdowns.
That's all. And a couple stops.
They might want to send him out to safety. Okay?
Exactly.
So there's the return by Stewart. And I want to remind everybody that on Monday night, the Green Bay Packers welcomed the Vikings to Lambeau Field. And no one is hotter in the National Football League than Aaron Rodgers. But remember back in the days when he played at Cal for Jeff Tedford? Well, there were his percentages. Pretty good now, right? 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in his senior year with the Cal Bears. And, of course, the Bears are coming in to play Stanford here next week in the big game. So, first down and 10, chance to look at Aaron and the Packers on Monday night on ESPN. And Luck Toilolo picks up about 5 yards. They started from the 29-yard line after that Stewart return, and now Luck in the hurry up. Here we go.
Got to have the urgency here. He's got to get everybody lined up, get everybody ready to attack. He led a perfect 2-minute drive right before the half.
Intercepted. Should have been caught. Instead, it's going to be a pick six. Taken in by Lacombo. From Fresno, California, the sophomore linebacker. Look what I found. What a moment for a defensive player, and heartache for Andrew Luck, because I thought, looking at the play live, that it should have been caught, but we'll wait and take a look at replay here.
It looked like it was right in his arms, and that's more impressive to me than any number that you could talk about. What Andrew Luck did right there to a true freshman after throwing a pick six, he goes right up to him and he pats him on the helmet. That's more impressive than anything that I've seen all night tonight from Andrew Luck. Instead of being selfish and worried about a pick six, he pats the kid on the back and he says, hey, shake it off, don't worry about it. That's impressive. And in the stats tomorrow, you look at this, it's another pick six for Andrew Luck, right in his arms.
You're right, Herbie. The Heisman race getting real interesting.
And Andrew Luck throws his second interception of the night, comes over to the freshman and just tells him to kind of shake it off. It's been a tough night for this offense. Oregon's done a really good job coming into tonight. Number 1 in the Pac-12 in passing efficiency defense. They have mixed up the looks and created enough pressure on Luck to make him uncomfortable back there in the pocket. But that interception was in the receiver's hands, and he just slipped through his hands, and it was a nice play by Oregon.
And so Ammonum, he had a good return. Fumble! And the Ducks have got it. It is starting to get ugly.
How about Rob Beard, the kicker, getting down there and recovering it?
Remember the onside kick last year? He recovered that in Eugene.
He's an athlete. He's not afraid. He's in there. Ball is clearly loose. And there's Beard. One of these nights for the Cardinal when it comes to these turnovers.
That's the 4th turnover of the night. The James gang. They're ready to go back to work. And Trey Carson, talented youngster for the Ducks, is going to see his first action. Freshman out of Texarkana, Texas, and there's your difference in the ball game right there.
Stanford had 7 turnovers coming into the game tonight, and 4 in his huge showdown with the Oregon Ducks.
So the Ducks battle themselves right back into the BCS picture. LaMichael James has to be discussed now when you're talking about a Heisman Trophy. And the Ducks will go home with a chance to win the North and host the first championship game as it has slipped away from Stanford. Control of the North is gone as far as Stanford is concerned, and it has shifted to the Northwest. The American Music Awards live Sunday, November 20th, 8/7 Central. One place to see all your favorite artists and performers. Taylor Swift, Pitbull, music's biggest night. That's coming up live. So it is 3rd down and 12. And it is clock milking time for the Ducks. Let's put this up front. This is a very impressive performance by Oregon. I didn't run into anybody who thought the Ducks were going to come in here and blow Stanford's wheels out. I didn't hear that. Fumble! He fanned on the pass, and it looked like a battle for the loose ball. I'm not sure the Ducks didn't jump back on it.
It looked like Masafilo came in from behind and knocked that ball away from Darren Thomas. Let's see if he gets a hand on it. Yeah, he gets a hand on it, knocks it away. Masafilo's been busy. That whole front, Masafilo, Stevens, Ben Gardner, when they've moved Trent Murphy down. Done a good job other than giving up the big plays. But other than LSU and Auburn, those big, strong teams with the defensive lines, there aren't many teams that can hold up for 4 quarters and stop Darren Thomas and the Michael James and company. You may stop them for 2 plays and then give up a 50-yard touchdown.
And there's the handoff to Carson, and that is short of the first down. So Stanford will take over.
On the line in this game tonight. You talked about the Pacific Northwest and what Oregon's done since Chip Kelly's taken over as the head coach.
Terrell, fumble! And the Ducks have got it. And now a penalty flag comes flying. So that's the 5th turnover of this game.
And that look says it all right there. David Shaw.
On the defense, number 92. It was after the fumble recovery, 1st down.
Avery Patterson, the nickelback, one of the players that has really improved from behind, knocks the ball loose. This Ducks defense has been attacking the football all night. It's like Eddie Pleasant got his hands on that football.
So Stanford no longer has its winning streak or its big rating in the BCS, but they've got one thing, Herbie. They got the best women's soccer team in the country.
Is that right?
That's right. They are ranked number 1. You know, this is just a great school. It's not, obviously the football team's had a wonderful run here for a few years. But some of the other sports around Stanford, women's sports, basketball team, and this was last night. You wouldn't guess who was there. Watch this header against the Montana Grizzlies.
Oh,
wow. Beat them 3-0. They shut out. Now, I got to ask you, in football, that draws a penalty flag. How come that's legal with women's soccer? Just kidding now. But I'll tell you, Mariah Naguera's header was as pretty a header as you'll see. That was a beautiful goal. So they bring this one to an end. And Stanford has lost control of the Pac-12 North. Reminder to stay tuned now for the 4th wrap-up. It'll come up right after tonight's game.
Don't forget, Pac-12 championship, the winner of this game more than likely will be in position to host that game.
It's okay if you say Oregon is in position. It's okay.
Is it okay to say
that? It's okay. You can say that.
Okay. Can I say, can we assume they'll beat Oregon State?
you can say that they're in position. And we'll find
That's
out.
what I'm saying.
We'll go see against the Trojans, okay?
USC, Oregon State. But yeah, a chance to host the Pac-12 championship game at Autzen Stadium. So for Arizona State or whoever ends up coming out of the Pac-12 South, they'll have their hands full.
Good luck with tickets. What a great coaching job by Chip Kelly and this entire staff. Hats off to Nick Aliotti and Mark Helfrich. They're the two coordinators. And now let's go down to Aaron with Coach Kelly.
Let me ask you first about LaMichael James, 3 touchdowns tonight. How was he able to eventually get loose in this game?
I think when you play a good team like Stanford, it's not going to happen early in the game, but we feel like the way we practice, the way we condition is eventually some things will break, and that's what happened. But that was a good football team. It was a great game.
Good football team, but you continue to be able to find their defense out of position tonight. Why?
It's just, I think we got a good team. I think they got a good team. It was a back and forth game until about that last minute when they turned it over a couple times. But we weren't real like we have this thing until about a minute to go in that game. So
I know you hate answering questions about the defense. Don't give me a hard time about this. But I have to ask you about getting pressure on Andrew Luck. How were you able to make him uncomfortable all night?
I think our D-line is playing at a real high level right now, and they're doing an unbelievable job. And you got kids like Josh Kadoo, Deion Jordan, all those other things. I can't tell you scheme things about our defense, but I can tell you that I love them.
And finally, you come in here, you beat Stanford convincingly. What does this do for your chances in the BCS? What do you think?
We got no idea about that. All we care about is being 1-0 on Saturday night. We know we got a really big game next week against USC at our place. And you have no idea. I've said the same thing about the BCS. We got to pick our head up sometime in December and see what this thing is. But if we start thinking about that stuff right now, that's not been our formula right now. Our formula is win on Saturday night. We're going to go home. We'll watch some USC on the plane, and we'll get ready for a big game next week.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right, thanks.
So, Herbie, the Rose Bowl would be a pretty good landing place for these Oregon Ducks now that we think about it.
Sure
and
would.
if they host the winner of the South, they're going to be a big favorite up in Eugene.
How about tonight? 63 plays, 53 points. And I know the turnovers helped them. It's 63 plays, 53 points. And we wanted to know the speed versus the size, who would win out? And again, we see it a lot in college football. The speed just too much for Stanford.
Slippery field? Why, these Ducks practice in the rain all the time. No problem, man, no problem. Let's just turn the quack attack loose. And the James gang did it here tonight. Big win, 53-30. Ducks